MCAS number 5 Academy for the open response, question 10. This will be the longest of the videos because there are 3 parts to solve. So you're going to have to listen to all 3 parts to be able to find the final answer. All right, the first part, how much money does he make each week? Well, I do know he works 22 and a half hours and earns $9.48 an hour. So I'm going to multiply the number of hours that he works in a week times the amount paid. Oops, it's a little crazy. $9.48. I'm not worrying about decimal points. I'm just going to multiply 8 times 5, going through this 40, carry the 4, 20, carry the 2, 16, 17, 18, 5 and 4, 20, carry the 2, 4, 8, 9, 10, carry the 1, 8, 9. I might be going fast, I'm sorry. 9 times 5 is 45, carry the 4, 18 and 4, 22, 18 and 2 more is 20. Can I get it in there? Okay, so if I add up my columns, I get 0, 0, 8 and 5 makes 13, carry the 1, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, carry the 1, 1 and 0 is 1, and 2. So there's my answer, but I have 1 digit, 2 more digits. So that's a total of 3 digits after the decimal point coming in from the left. 1, 1, 2, 3. So my final answer is Leo earns $213.30 per week. Remember, if it starts with words, it ends with words, and they want to see your process throughout to figure out how you solved it. All right, part B. You really need to use the verbal prompt to help you build your equation. So let's look at this. It says, what percent of Leo's weekly earnings is taken out for taxes? And there's your equation. So it's what percent, so that's going to be my n% of, means multiply, Leo's weekly earnings, which we just solved in part A. That's why it's so important to get part A correct. 213.30 is equals taken out for taxes, 25.60. So now it's just a matter of solving the equation, dividing both sides by 213.30 to isolate n. So I get n% is equal to, now I have to divide this, and it's long division. I'm going to clear the zeros before I long divide. So I have 21,330 goes into 2,560, and the decimal point goes here. Well, 21,000 can't go into 2,500, so I'm going to add a 0 here, and now 21,000 can go into 25,000. And it's going to go in once, and we get 2,1,330 underneath, and subtract that, I get 4,270. And now 21,000 can't go into 4,200, so I have to bring down my 0. But 21,000 can go into 42,000 twice, so I get 42,660, and then the difference is 40. So I have to keep going. It's a percent, so I don't want to stop in the hundredths. I want to go to the thousands to see if I have to round this up to 13 and say it's approximately 13, or if I can say it's 12. So I'd have to bring a 0 down. Now 21,000 can't go into 400, so now I have to bring another 0 down. 21,000 can't go into 4,000. I have to bring another 0 down. And what am I doing? I'm just filling in zeros here. So it's approximately 12. It's getting so close to 12%. So I'm going to use my final answer and say Leo spends about 12%. And I use that word about. That's going to help the reader realize that I know it didn't stop, but I'm going to say Leo spends about 12% of his weekly earnings on taxes. All right, last questions. He wants to save this $3,000. And it says he's going to keep all of his money after taxes. So that's huge. So if he gets paid $213.30 per week, but they take $25.60 out for taxes, how much does he actually take home? That's what's called take-home pay. So if I subtract that, his paycheck technically is for $187.70 because he paid his taxes. So if he's saving $187.70 per week. How many weeks is it going to take them? So if I take my $3,000 and divide by $187.70, it's going to tell me approximately how many weeks. And I'm going to speed the process up because the video is getting a little long. It's approximately 15.98 weeks. Well, he has to work that extra 0.02. So technically in the real world, he's going to have to work 16 weeks to save that much money. And most of you just stop there. You forgot to look back and make sure that's what they were asking for. It says, what's the minimum number of hours? It doesn't say weeks. So that's just a piece to the puzzle, but not my final answer. So if I know he has to work 16 weeks, and it states from Part A that he's working 22.5 hours per week, if I multiply those two out, I do get 360 hours. So in the end, using your sentence, remember if it starts with words, it ends with words, Leo has to work 360 hours to save enough money to buy the car. In this open response, it's so important that Part A is correct because Part A is used in Part B and Part C and so forth. So you really have to focus on the simple to make sure that's accurate so that you can build and move forward. Hopefully this whole sequence has helped. Please give me your feedback when it comes back on Monday, signed and complete. And if you enjoyed the tutorial and what I can do better, because feedback makes things better. So please let me know.